Heard on Thursdays with Nikki is about to go live online. Catch HOT, the iconic radio show that made Philippine FM radio talk, every Thursday on the Monster.
Streaming video on the Monster Facebook page at RX931, the Monster YouTube channel at RX931, and twitch.tv/Monster RX931.
You heard on Thursday's host, Nikki Porter. Stand by and enjoy the program.
Hey, good evening, monsters. Yes, welcome to the show that made Philippine FM radio talk, heard on Thursdays on Summer's Hottest, Monster RX93.1. I am your host, Nikki Porter. So let's get right into it. Imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud, faking it till you make it. Most of us have probably experienced some of that at some point or other, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? Whether it's applying for a job, asking for a raise, or anything career related, or something more personal like dating and cultivating relationships with people. We need to put on a brave face and project confidence to achieve whatever it is we're trying to achieve. But it wouldn't be nice, or wouldn't it be nice actually, if that self assuredness and confidence actually truly came from within? Tonight's guest is someone who can help us with just that. She is a motivational speaker, a confidence coach, a journalist, a podcast host, and former model whose mission is to empower women to achieve their goals and fulfill their dreams. She's also a Palanca awardee for fiction and is currently writing 2 books, her first collection of short stories, and a self-empowerment manual called Join Lang Nang Join. Heard on Thursdays, let's welcome back to the show certified executive coach in confidence and transformation and the multi-hyphenate herself, Myrza Sison. Hello.
Hey, Nikki. How are ya?
Oh my gosh, doing so well. Thank you very much for taking the time to catch up this evening. And so I would love to get right into it. Before I do, though, how has life been? It's been about more than a year, I think, since we.
Oh, really? Has
last
it been more than a year?
Somewhat. I mean, like, we have seen each other. We
Right.
have bumped into each other a few times since then. But with regard to career-wise, like, how has it been, like, as a coach and as a writer still, and
Right.
anything else in between? How has it been?
Right. I've been quite busy. I've
Mhm.
been doing executive coaching for about a year and a half now. I got
Love it.
certified last year with a Center for Executive Coaching, and I'm working towards international certification, which means I have to
Wow.
accumulate coaching hours.
Mhm.
And there's several levels, and at the highest level, you will need 500 professional coaching hours. So
Wow.
baby steps. As we will learn later, confidence needs baby steps.
Yeah, for sure. And so, well, I'm glad that it's so cool to know that you're coaching now, because it just seems like it fits right in for you, because with everything that you've done in your life and are planning to do in your life, it just makes sense. And with my time working under you, like when I was in Summit, it was just like I felt like I was learning so much from you, whether even if it was just like in terms of writing, like it really helped improve on how to be an editor and how to be a writer. So I love it. Like it's like this is something that's like perfect for you to see you do.
But I didn't think so when it was brought up with
Mm.
me. A good friend of mine is the Asia Pacific head for the Center for Executive Coaching, and she had been trying to convince me to become a coach, and I kept like avoiding her calls, and I kept
Well,
like,
how long did she pursue you?
it was not until she booked a discovery call with me and helped coach
Mm.
me through a problem where I realized, hey, there's something to this. And she made me realize that in my 25-year career in publishing, I had mentored hundreds, apparently,
Yeah.
hundreds of writers, photographers, stylists,
Mhm.
editors, without my really putting much thought into it. Like I was just
Yeah.
doing my job, but in the
Yeah.
process, if you have a team, you gotta coach them to achieve results, right? You
Mhm.
have to like nurture your professional relationship with them, kind of like egg them on to achieve common goals. If they want to leave, you want to like see what's going on and see how you can help them. So then I had a eureka moment, like, oh, I know, right? It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So I'm
sure.
glad it persisted. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and it's so true because it's like, for example, like when it came to you just like resending me the article with the edit,
The red edits.
the edits with the all caps sometimes.
Oh, oh my gosh.
No, it was like it was something that at first I was afraid of because I was like, okay, I'm new to this. But
Right,
eventually, as time went on, and as I kept receiving like your edits, like I really started to think about, well, that makes sense. Like her edits make sense anyway, and it just
right,
like
right.
it helped me eventually. So it also showed, like, I guess it also as a reflection to that, like it was never about like critiquing you personally, but it was
Right,
really helping you improve
right,
on like the skills that you are trying to also cultivate in the
right,
job that you're in. So
right.
so it was really fun. That's why I felt like when I left, I was like, I feel like I need to learn more. And then you
Aw.
left, and I was like, well, I don't know
Aw.
what to and then I left the joke lang. Anyway. So like, are there any coaches though? So now you have your own coaching career, but were there other coaches that you follow in social media, or you look up to, who you kind of like pattern the content you create, or you aspire to be?
Pattern the content I create. Maybe not so much that as coaches that I learn from. So the person
Okay.
that I mentioned, her name is Carla Manas, and she is the founder of the Asia Pacific arm of the Center for Executive Coaching, and she actually won Best Global Coach of the Year in 2021. So that's
Wow.
how good of a coach she is. And we have a whole um, cohort and community of coaches now that either came before us or uh, the cohorts continue to multiply. And
Yeah.
together, I've worked with and am learning from so many coaches that I admire.
Mm.
So there, and they're coaches that have become really popular motivational speaker, the likes of Mel Robbins
Yeah.
and who else? There's Marissa Peer. There's so many that I follow and I learn from.
Yeah.
But in terms of my content, I decided to specialize in confidence and transformation. I know that's your next question
Yeah.
because it's basically the story of my life. Transformation is the story of my life. If some of you know my story, I was a very shy, introverted nerd who was so shy that I couldn't even face my own relatives when I was a teenager. I wouldn't leave my room, and when my
Mm.
my cousins would come and visit, I was too shy to leave my room and meet them. That's how shy I was. And
Mm.
I found a way to overcome this shyness by reading a book, by reading a book called Shyness.
Perfect.
It's a classic now. It's by a psychologist named Dr. Philip Zimbardo. And then
Oh, yeah.
there, but when I read it, I unlocked all the things that had been debilitating me from like going out there into the world and just like meeting people, speaking up, because I understood the nature of my problem. I understood what I needed to do, and I understood the steps that I needed to take. So after that, I kind of learned that if you have a problem, knowledge is really power. If you find out everything you need to know about the problem, eventually you will come up with a solution. And because
Yeah.
of this book, by the time I entered college, I decided to reinvent myself And I thought, well, nobody knows me here. All my classmates are
True.
in different courses or in different schools. So
Mm-hmm.
I can just pretend that I am not a shy girl and I'm a confident, brave and confident girl who will be the group leader and will volunteer for whatever. And then so I just reinvented myself by faking it till I made it, thanks to the book. And so,
Yeah.
as early as my adolescence, and then up until I transformed myself from nerdy computer programmer to fashion model. I mean, how extreme can you get in terms of like a drastic
Yeah,
change
for
in
sure.
career or change in what's the word? Change in personality. I don't think my personality changed. I was still basically an introvert who had a new job, which entailed a whole different set of skills.
Yeah.
It wasn't like logic and coding that were important, but presenting yourself to the world and a set of very physical skills that I needed in order to become a model. So transformation is basically the story of my life. And
Yeah.
after retiring from modeling, I became a magazine editor, and that's where I was able to parlay all the knowledge and the skills that I learned about looking your best and projecting confidence into content that could help others do the same. And
Yeah.
now, as a coach, I think I'm taking it to another higher level
Hmm.
by not just presenting content, but by coaching people through the process so that they can be confident inside out.
Yeah, because it's scary. It can be scary. And I want to know actually, I don't know if I'm not sure if we talked about this previously, but from becoming a programmer to deciding to become a fashion model, how did that happen? Where was that
Oh my
where was
gosh.
yeah, when did that happen? When and how?
What did I eat that turned me into like what have you done with a programmer?
True.
So my dad owns book sale, and
Mhm.
when I was a teenager, he was starting the foundations of building book sale, the bargain bookstore chain.
Mhm.
So I had access to all the fashion magazines
Right. Yeah.
available. So I grew up with Vogue, Cosmo, Marie Claire. So in my mind, I lived in those pages, like I dreamed of being in those pages. I had like a wild fantasy of what if I became a model? But no, how dare I even dream that big? But then eventually I figured out, okay, what does it really, this is like pre-internet, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know why I was so courageous and I was so confident. All I knew was that I had a minimum height requirement, which is 5'7" for runway.
Mhm.
I realized that my angular blockhead, I call it a blockhead because I have a very square jaw, and
Okay.
my very extreme looks, like I never felt conventionally beautiful because what I saw growing up was very well, it was like the sweet mestiza ideal, right? So I didn't see many women in pop culture or media that looked like me, but in the pages of those fashion magazines I saw like models that look like me. Like, oh my gosh, look, she has a very square jaw and very angular features, kind of alien-like. So I thought, hey, maybe there's a possibility, right? Like, okay, I have the minimum height requirement. I have the angular planes on my face, which supposedly catches light well and then makes you look photogenic.
Ah, okay.
Okay, what's my next step? So I had no idea what to do. I planted my own discovery in a fashion boutique. I really don't know where the confidence came from. I just thought, well, this looks like a fashion store where models might drop by. And so I planted myself there. And then 2 hours later, I had yet to be discovered until, by some weird twist of fate, a model agent happened to enter the store, saw me, and said, "Excuse me, are you a model?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" I said, my answer was prepared. I had prepared my answer. I said, no, but I'd like to be one. And then that was the turning point. Like, what if I left an hour earlier? Right?
Right. Yeah.
So
That's
there, I kind of
amazing.
just like found a way to I found ways to get closer to my dream
Hmm.
in a very haphazard way. Like you couldn't Google how to be a model back then, right? I don't think you could even buy a book. But I just kind of like sniffed around, like where would it be likely for something to happen?
Yeah.
And I think that continues to be the story of my life, even when we have the internet. Like, okay, what might I do in order to get near this goal? Like, who should I talk to? Where are the
Hmm.
peeps who know
Yeah.
about these things, right? What can I ask them? So there.
Yeah. I love stories like that actually. It reminds me of like one of the professors I had during my grad school saying that he wanted to get into like this really well-known like agency or something, and but then it's like it was an office where you couldn't just walk in as a
Right,
guest or as a visitor. And so
right.
what he did was that he tried to search for like the he went to the parking lot and then
Oh,
started yeah, he went to the parking lot and then he checked the floor, or he was in the floor of like where all of these agency employees were working, and he put his resume on each and every windshield in the
wow.
cars until actually one of like the directors, I think, he was able to see the resume, and that's how he got an in at that job. So
Right,
like
right,
it's all of like it's really trying to find to make a way when you feel like
right,
there's no way for you to make it
right,
happen. So,
right, right, right.
so it's really just like something that we can all, I guess, like remember that there is a way if you really want
Right.
it that badly. I
Right,
guess.
right, right. And I think that's probably like the running theme of my life and what I'd like to impart to people that I coach. Like, there's always a way. Nothing is
Mhm.
impossible. We just need to maybe do an assessment about what might be debilitating you from moving closer towards your dream. Like, what beliefs about yourself may
Yeah.
not be true that you
Yeah.
think are true, but are actually limiting you, or maybe you're in a comfort zone that you are too comfortable in, and you dread stepping out of your comfort zone because you know that that's where on one hand that's where the possibilities lie, but on the other hand it's very scary
Yeah.
to like you know change your world and change what you have to do and make some changes and do the work. And
Mhm.
so that's what a coach does, walks you through the fog of your own mind and your own
Mhm.
excuses.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know though, in your journey in becoming a coach, did you still realize things about yourself that you were holding on to na parang, oh wait, this is not helpful pala for me? Like parang, did you have to shed some parts of
Right,
yourself that were like limiting beliefs to
right,
become the coach that you are, to be the coach that people actually need?
right. Of course, everyone has imposter syndrome, even the most famous and the most
Yeah,
successful people. Even Oprah has it, Meryl Streep has it, right?
sure.
So I was no exception, right? So after getting certified, I was too timid to like actually approach people that I knew. Like, so uh, in our cohort, everyone's like, "Wow, what a power base you have! You have such a great network of like high-powered individuals,
Mhm.
celebrities, influential people,
Mhm.
high-powered executives." But I had imposter syndrome. I'm like, how can I offer my coaching services? Like, I just started. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
like they have access to like the best coaches. And so I suffered from it for a while. And so I didn't really want to put it out there that I was a coach. It took
Mm.
me some time before I posted like my certificate, and, um, the before I kind of like advertised that I was a
Yeah.
coach, because like everyone, you're thinking, well, I want to gain experience first, but then other people were doing it, and we were at the same level. And then I realized it's not really, I mean, what counts, but it's not really just your knowledge, but your whole life experience. Like,
Mm.
between maybe somebody who has been coaching for a very long time and myself, I have a whole uh, body of work and life experience, and experience in different fields. All my experiences and knowledge put together make me a unique person who
Yes.
can, have an advantage when it comes to the kind of coach I want to be. And so that's what I struggled with. And until I believe that it's really not certifications or like certificates or what else, years of experience, but the sum of all your experiences and what you have to offer.
Yeah. So how long did it take for you? Like from the time that you got your certification to finally, you know what, putting yourself out there on
Right.
social media. How long did it take for you to finally muster up the confidence to finally do it?
Maybe it took about 6 months,
Mm.
and and a whole lot of coaching from, coaches coach each other.
Yeah.
Just because you're a good coach doesn't mean you don't need a coach. So I got
Mm-hmm.
a lot of coaching from, my fellow coaches as well, because it really takes an outside perspective sometimes to help you realize how you are trapping yourself in your own excuses in your own comfort zone. And to put yourself out there these days means a lot of social media in a way
Yes.
that people like to consume. And so this was around the time when reels became essential. That's why I'm
True.
so
Yeah.
inspired by your reels.
I me.
Yes, you.
Oh my gosh.
Because you were doing it way before we were all doing it. And
What?
so, I had to really like, okay, I'm going to look stupid, but this is the quickest way I can reach people. This is the, most digestible way to give out bits of information that people will get within
Yeah.
1 minute, right? Like, they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to read a whole long thing about
True. Mm-hmm.
whatever. And so I took baby steps. I tried to prioritize progress over perfection. Like, sometimes we're hung up on the technical quality, or like,
Yeah.
it
That's
has to
so
be
true.
perfect. My makeup sucks. The lighting sucks, right? Like, oh, I can't. My eyes are shifty. But then
Yeah.
I
We're
said,
our worst
never mind.
critic talaga.
We really are, and that's our own worst enemy. And so
Yeah.
eventually I did it, and I think it's been maybe close to a year, still doing it, still suffering from the syndrome, but
Mhm.
trying to ignore it.
Yeah.
So yeah, one thing
It
that helps that I've talked about in my reels is to say yes to an opportunity before you can overthink it and say no.
Yeah, I
So,
love
like,
that.
for example, you texted me at 3 p.m. today, and I had
Yes.
several events, and I was like, okay, I'm going to say yes without even thinking about it, and then I will cope.
I hope you're coping well.
I'm coping well, diba? Join lang ng join. Bahala na si Batman. I
Yeah.
remember that back in Summit, our, like, the worst thing you could say was pwede na. But
Oh,
now,
yeah.
post pandemic, and now that it's a whole new world where we are extolling the virtues of progress over perfection. Now it's good to say pwede na. Done
Mm,
is better than perfect. So there's
yeah.
like a whole paradigm shift, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to share also with regard to my reels compared to yours, you have much more like informational content. Me, in terms of
No,
like, well, I mean, in terms of like content for me, it was just like entertainment talaga na parang I feel like I
yeah,
want
but
to do this, and then I
so
did it.
funny. Hilarious. And you're such a good actress, and your timing
Oh,
is impeccable.
oh, well, actually, I want to bring that up too because, like you said, like progress over perfection. The number of takes, man, I would have to do. Repeatedly. Oh my gosh. And
Right.
that's why usually the last one I take, that's the one I post. But the amount of time, sometimes especially if the lip syncing like is long, that's just like a little BTS for you monsters listening if you ever see my reels.
Uh,
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. Like I
it's
really
a
just
lot of
posted it
fun. Yeah.
for me. I did that for me because I was like, I've always wanted to do it. I don't know how people are gonna react to it, but eventually, like people start liking it, and it's not
Yeah.
necessarily fuel because like I would be doing it more seguro if I was really driven by that,
I
but
love it.
like to think of like content, oh that's relatable, like and how I could use the audio, like that's how I pretty much like create it. So that's why it's like not consistent.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that also that you mentioned that, it's it you really take your time, not necessarily perfecting it, because of course for us millennials and I guess Gen Z now, we're living in a different world for sure. So in terms of like the state of confidence, in your
Right.
experience, what can you say about that among millennials and Gen Z? How is our state of
Right.
confidence, do you think? Do we need more or less?
It's hard to generalize because I see confidence in certain aspects
Mm-hmm.
and a lack of confidence in other aspects. So millennials and Gen Zs, you've grown up in a different world, right? There's like constant changes in technology and economic uncertainty. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lockdown, right?
Yeah.
Uh, it's a highly competitive job market, and social media lends itself to comparing yourselves
Yes, for
with
sure.
each other in a way that we never did. Like, we didn't know what the next person was doing because,
Mm-hmm.
how would you know about that? But
Yeah.
today we are all bombarded with perfect images online, curated, perfected images that are not even real. So this can really, impact the confidence of everyone. And comparing yourself to others online can be very detrimental to your mental health. So this is,
Mm-hmm.
for sure going to impair your sense of confidence. However, also when they say that millennials and Gen Zs, they're so entitled, that's a form of confidence. When you're entitled, you know what you deserve, and you
Mm-hmm.
speak up and uh, speak your mind and say your piece, and
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just like claim what you want. Like if they say this job is not for me, I'm not going to answer your email after 5 p.m. That's a form
Yeah.
of confidence, I think. Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
so confident. You could, maybe during my time, you could get fired, but you guys are so confident that you don't care if you get
Mm-hmm.
fired, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a form of confidence, also. You guys have a strong sense of purpose and passion, right? Uh, I think the boomers and Gen X's have kind of destroyed the earth and left it for you guys to fix. So of course you're all mad, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're confident enough to speak up about it. But I think the lockdown has exacerbated uh, feelings of isolation, and maybe whatever social skills the younger generations were already struggling with,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they got worse because there was no practice for 3 years,
Mm-hmm. You're right.
right? And
Yeah.
so it's very hard. That's why maybe nobody wants to do face to face anymore. Everyone's in their comfort zone of like talking to no one except on
Yeah.
Zoom, and just like, not having to go out there and make small talk. And so maybe in that sense, face to face social skills, probably the confidence for that is impaired, but maybe online confidence is very strong.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I mean, not just in terms of social media. I would also say in terms of online dating because it's so
Oh
easy.
yeah,
It's
right,
so
right, right,
easy for you to strike up a conversation with someone who you just matched. But then in real life, if you find someone
right,
attractive, it's so
right.
hard for you to approach that person and say something that would probably potentially start a conversation.
Right. Due to lack of practice.
Lack of practice, because yeah, I mean, we have been living online for sure, and
Right.
like wanting to meet or someone organically is something even for me, like I that's only probably happened like maybe once or twice ever, but like
Right.
otherwise it's just it's a challenge for sure. So
Right.
yeah, something we need to learn talaga.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So maybe try and not just put yourself out there, but leave your house and
Yeah,
physically
actually
go
leave the house.
somewhere where there are people and,
Mhm.
practice your social skills. Some of the reels on confidence that I make involve, making the dreaded small talk by practicing, like talk to your barista, compliment somebody's shoes, what
Yeah.
else? Talk to the manong who delivers your food, try and practice making human connection, human interaction.
Yeah. I think one thing I can add to that is also, for example, if it's in a place of work or if like, even if it's just like security guards in the building, if you're observant enough to see what they do or what they're
Yeah,
into, like I
right,
see someone watching like the NBA game or something on
right,
their
right,
phone and it's like and you can say like, "Oh, who's winning?" Like
right,
even if you're not interested, but it's just
right,
like to show interest in them. I feel like that can help you figure out how to better communicate with people like in person.
right. I remember when I was still in publishing, a lot of the younger editors would really dread events because
Oh
maybe they
no.
weren't used to
Mm-mm.
socializing. And so I remember there was one magazine which had an event, and the whole staff was just like cowering in the corner and not really circulating, talking to advertisers or really talking to anyone. So maybe this is something that, they might need help with because uh, it's different. Communicating online is so different from nurturing a relationship face to face and getting to
Yeah.
know, the other party, finding out what you have in common, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's definitely a challenge, but it's something that's really needed for people who need to learn how to disconnect online and
Right,
reconnect in person.
right,
So, in terms of, so I think this is where we can also apply fake it till you make it. Like, like it's really trial and error, no? Like of
right,
you trying to build that connection. So, what
right,
is your take on fake it till you make it then?
right,
Is it something when can we use it? When should we probably not?
right, right, right. This is something that I have espoused since the early days of my editor's letters in Cosmo.
Mm.
I used to always say, act as if and you will be. Like, confidence
Okay.
happens with practice.
Hmm.
People are not born confident, it's actually a skill.
Hmm.
And you don't just suddenly declare, I'm confident, and therefore I'm going to do. Usually, we take a blind leap of faith, and then the more we do something, the better at it we become, and then we become confident. So it's more of a matter of choosing courage over confidence. If there's like a situation that you fear, you just say, I choose to be brave today and I will
Hmm.
do it. I'm not yet confident, but I'm going to be brave, and I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, right? So there.
It's easier said than done, like, what
It
doesn't kill you
is.
makes you
Right.
stronger. Because it's
I know that's go
like
ahead, go ahead.
a lot of us actually, are afraid of the rejection of, like, what happens when we
Right.
actually do, take
Right.
up the courage and do something. So, what is your take then on that? Like, even if we fail, apart from the saying, like, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," like, in I guess
Right.
in a more, um relatable
Yeah.
term or maybe an analogy that you could use like how can we try and absorb that it's okay for
Yeah.
rejection to not be accepted to not anything that would be like a negative feeling if we do something out of the
Right.
ordinary.
I think a better way to reframe it would be failure is not fatal. Like,
Mm,
what's the worst thing that can happen if you step up on stage and give the speech? Will anyone
yeah.
throw rocks at you? Will you get fired from your job? Will you
Mhm.
become like a viral scandal? I think once
Yeah.
you think of all the worst things that can happen and you lower your expectations, or think of the extreme, and then you can imagine that I can survive that, like if or
Yeah,
that's not likely to happen. I'm not gonna get fired because I forgot my lines, right?
hmm
Then it makes it more livable. And then know that the learning curve is part of anything that you learn. And so
Yeah.
you have to factor it in. Nobody does a perfect job on take one, right? All
Yeah.
the people who are excellent at what they do, it took hundreds of hours. Who is it that said that it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill? So,
No, I remember,
like
but
for
yes, I
you,
know that quote.
you just said that it takes you how many takes before you
Not
post that?
10,000 hours though, but I mean, like, it takes me probably 10 at the most. Because if I feel like
Right,
it's more than 10, I'm like, okay, I'm overdoing it a little
right,
bit.
right. So once you factor in the learning curve and you factor in the failure, you
hmm
know, then you know that failure is part of the process. Failure is
Yeah.
part of the learning process. And there's also something that I read that said there's no failure, just feedback.
Mm,
Because every time you fail, you're actually getting feedback about what you did so that there's an opportunity for you to actually know what you can do better so that you can do a better job next time.
yeah. It's also it's very relevant also in recent because like this NBA player Giannis Antetokounmpo, he responded to a question of like, would you consider this loss like a failure? And he went off, not really angered, but he did say something like, Michael Jordan had like was working training in basketball for like decades, and
Right,
he had six championships. Would you
right,
consider the other years as failures? There's
right,
steps to success. That's what he says. And it's just like it's a very mature way of thinking of like that failure isn't it's not fatal, and it's not
right,
something that it doesn't mean it's the end of it either.
right,
Yeah.
right. And in terms of sorry, when it comes to fake it till you make it, I know it's gotten a bad rap, and people have actually
Yeah.
said, that's not a good way to it's not a good um what maxim to follow. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean you have to be fake. It just means that you have to assume courage when
Yeah.
it's not there, and that's where the faking part comes in. You pretend that you're brave until you become brave. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you're gonna be a fake until you're found out or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's a good distinction because yeah, for
Right.
sure people can
And it doesn't mean that
misinterpret.
you're not gonna do the work, right? You
hmm
have to do the work, get all the knowledge that you can, put in the hours, put in all the effort. And then
Yeah,
what you fake is actually the courage and the confidence.
yeah. And so eventually, and then until you become it, like
Right,
what you said in
right,
your messages. So it's scary again, and like imposter syndrome is something that is it happens to all of us, even the most famous people in the world.
yes,
Now, how can we ground ourselves to combat
right,
imposter syndrome? Well, no matter what the situation, whether it be a job interview, or like
right,
an interview to a promotion, or an
right,
interview with a celebrity, or an interview,
right,
or like a first date with someone.
right, right. I think it's a matter of really falling back to who you are and what you have accomplished.
Mhm.
So always like look back to what you have accomplished. I remember there's this funny story that I like to tell about uh, one night at some disco, back when it wasn't called a
Love
club
it.
yet. uh, I was with a bunch of model friends, and one girl was crying because she got into a fight with her boyfriend.
Mhm.
And then I remember one of her gay director mentors telling her, as she was like sobbing in the parking lot, itong tatandaan mo, may title ka. Because she was like a beauty queen. She was like a title holder. And it
Oh,
seemed
okay,
so
okay.
funny and ridiculous at that moment. But now that I look back, I think it just means remember who you are and remember your worth and never forget that worth because uh, this is the way you deserve to be treated. And so I think if we always recognize and acknowledge our accomplishments, and keep keep remembering why are you in that position in the first place, right? Like let's
Yeah.
say you are worried about an interview. Think of all the interviews you've done, all the articles that you wrote that um, were praised or like people said that you did a good job on. Make a list of all the things you've accomplished and the skills you've developed. If you have to tack your resume on your cork board in front of you just to
Yeah.
remind you who you are, just to remind you na may title ka, then
Mhm.
you will remember that yes, I am capable, I have earned my position, I'm highly qualified to do this job.
Mhm.
So, that's a good way to do it. Also, try and get rid of all the negative critical voices in your head. It could be, the leftover voice living rent free in your head, like your mother's, your mother's nagging, maybe, or a teacher's harsh words, or
Mhm.
you know, a bully's insults. Maybe
Yeah.
um, they're still bugging you at the back of your mind,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
ask yourself, is it just that voice? Replace it with your inner cheerleader, right? Like we're
Yeah.
always bashing ourselves, we're always like scolding ourselves. Why
Yeah.
did you do that? You're so stupid. Try
Mhm.
and change the dialogue. You can
Yeah.
do this, you're capable, you have a title, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And I think to add on to that, the negative thoughts that we have of ourselves, that's something that we've learned from other people, which we project
Yes,
into ourselves. And so
right,
that means we can also learn new things, new
right,
voices, positive messages to
right.
ourselves as well. So, like, I mean, of course, it's easier said than done because some of those are like back in our childhood and we carry that
Yeah,
baggage with us.
right,
So, but there we can still learn those skills. And
right,
personally, like I'm still learning those skills too, to not to
right.
not beat myself up all the time.
I think another important thing is to surround yourself with a positive support system. Have
Yeah.
like friends who cheer you on. If there's like supportive family members, talk to them about your feelings. And for sure, if you say, "I don't think I can do this," I don't deserve this job, or what karapatan do I have to do it?
Mhm.
For sure, people who support you will immediately negate you and say, "Ano ka ba?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you know that you're so and so? Ano ka ba?
Mhm.
Don't you remember that you did this and that and this?" And then you can snap out of like your downward spiral of negative self-talk.
Yeah, for sure.
That's helpful.
Like and to relate to that also, when I when I was dating someone,
Ooh.
no, when I was dating, so I told you about this guy. But anyway, I when I was
Was
dating
it the
someone,
guy that was no, just kidding.
we're gonna talk off there.
Okay,
No, but
okay.
when I was dating this one guy, like he was telling me about like, oh yeah, when he was back here in the Philippines, he actually modeled for this particular telecom or something.
Ooh.
And when I made that went to my one of my close friends, and then I told her, it's like, yeah, he said he was like a model and something like that. And I was asking myself, like, what the heck am I doing with this person who is a model and he is beautiful actually? And then my friend actually tells me, Nikki, you're beautiful. Like, what are you talking about?
You
Like, and it's
are.
stop,
I
stop,
could have told
stop.
you that.
And so like that was honestly, and like I wasn't like fishing for compliments or anything, but it was something I genuinely felt because it was
Right,
my upbringing, and that was how the voices
right.
in my head were singing the prayer. You with a model or something, it was kind of, it didn't make sense to me. But then like when you have those people who do
Yeah,
see you in a different light, it's
right,
very, it's refreshing, and it's very humbling also na parang, oh,
right.
like it's like some things you don't know until someone actually tells you, and then now you have to try and believe that for yourself. Diba?
Yes, right. I mean, if so many people are saying it, must be true, right?
I mean, it's still hard. It's still hard to. I mean, I do try self affirmations now, so
Right,
so yeah, just to help myself and be more confident in that sense. And so, but I also want to know, in terms of confidence, where can we draw the line between confidence and arrogance, man? Because like, yes, some of us like Gen Z millennials are like, we are, some of us sound entitled, but yes, you mentioned it was like it's a form of
right,
confidence, but where do we draw the line that it becomes a
right,
little arrogant?
right. So the definition of confidence is the belief in yourself and your abilities.
Okay. Okay.
So the foundations for confidence are a sense of self assurance
Mm-hmm.
based on your past experiences of success or competence. On the other
Mm,
hand, arrogance is a sense of self importance that comes from an exaggerated sense of your abilities and accomplishments.
got it.
This is, I think, also known as the Dunning Kruger effect. Uh,
Okay. It sounds
what,
familiar.
yeah, because I think in popular parlance, it's people with low ability for certain types of
Mm,
tasks tend to overestimate their ability or knowledge. On the other hand, people with high ability tend to underestimate their skills. So true,
mm,
right?
yeah.
There's actually a book called Why So Many Incompetent Men Become Great Leaders.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which kind of like delves into that topic.
Yeah.
So
And
so there, that's a difference.
we're not saying that to diss on men, by the way. That's the title of the book.
Yes, it is. And the illustration is, I think it pertains to certain world leaders.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so I
Yeah,
think it's something that we can, like, confidence is just like something that, again, it's something that we have to learn. A lot of us, especially I guess in our culture, I don't know if how prevalent it still is. Like
right.
we are meek, and
Yes,
we're people pleasers.
right,
So
right. So much of our societal conditioning and parental upbringing
yeah.
uh, upholds that children should be seen and not heard mentality, right? Like speaking
Mhm.
up is perceived as rude. They want you to like just obey and be
Yeah.
quiet and not talk back,
Yeah.
right? So if there's like so many years of this kind of conditioning, any kind of effort to like, I don't know, use your voice or take up space, if it's not, if it's looked down with disdain, then it's very hard to unlearn or go against.
Yeah.
Uh, in my last reel, I did a reel where I talked about the 10 most common uh, Pinoy expressions that we feel will be said about
I
us,
saw that.
but that we
Yeah.
think about others.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And, things that we say about others na parang, wow ha,
Like
ano yan,
ikaw na
ikaw na,
matalino.
di ba?
Yeah.
Ikaw na. And then the reason why we are afraid is because we think those things of other people. And
Mhm.
so it will really help to like stop saying those things about other people and know that, it takes courage to be confident, and we should applaud any efforts of confidence instead of instead of like stop them or like insult them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, it's it's not really hurting anybody either. Like, wanting,
Right,
sharing information, being
right, right,
knowledgeable
right,
about
right,
something, expressing interest in one thing, and then not.
right,
That's why people do they do like to just keep to themselves or not share a lot,
right,
because like they're afraid of what the people will say, especially again in
right,
our culture, because we know like what people could say
right, right,
to us.
right.
Yeah. So now let's do some situational
Okay.
questions when it comes to how to exude confidence in these particular scenarios. So, how can we address and negotiate a pay raise in our job?
Right. First of all, compile your achievements.
Mm, true, true.
Think of everything you did for the job and the company. What benefits? What do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
What will happen if you leave? What will they lose? You
Hmm.
know, just so you're armed with that information.
Yeah.
Uh, Research your market value. Like scope out the industry. Like is there actually any possibility for like if you do decide to leave, uh, what's the situation, right? And then
Yeah.
understand what's going on in the company. What if they're undergoing financial difficulties and maybe it's really a bad time? You
Hmm.
know, um, Timing is everything.
Yeah.
And then make sure that you set an appointment. Don't just approach your boss and say, "Hey, can I have a raise?" Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you kind
Yeah.
of have to condition them. And then maybe it can be as simple as telling them when the time comes and you have your appointment, you can say thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I really enjoy working for the company, and I do see myself building a long-term career here, and I've made many contributions to the organization. For example, I did this.
Yeah.
It could be in writing too.
Hmm.
So since my last pay increase, this is what I've done. And then the
Hmm.
more metrics you use, the better if you
Yeah.
have them, like
True.
maybe percentages or situations that you excelled in
Mm.
or problems
Like the
that you solved.
the KPIs you've achieved,
Right, the
also. Hmm.
KPIs,
Hmm.
evaluations, and then you can say
Yeah.
based on my achievements and my research on salary levels, I'd like to request um, this percentage of a pay increase. So, and then you can say, so yeah, thank you again. I'm grateful to work for the company and make an impact here, and I really want to grow with the company and continue to achieve goals alongside the company. So
Hmm. All right.
there.
All right. That's how you can ask for a raise in your jobs, monsters. If you feel like you deserve it, why not? This is where your
Right.
confidence comes in, right?
Or if you have been dumped with additional responsibilities that are
Yes,
beyond the
true,
scope of
true.
your work, that's like leverage. You can leverage that, right? Like
That's true.
since X left, I have been taking on her job
Yes.
as well as mine.
Hmm. Yeah,
Make it a win-win
definitely.
situation. Don't just say I need a raise because I want to travel more and I need the money.
Hmm. Yeah. See how it can also benefit the company when they give you a raise.
Yes,
So, yeah,
for sure.
definitely. How about in relationships, Saman? This is one thing I think a lot of us have a problem
Right,
doing, and it's
right,
setting boundaries, because a lot of us are
right,
scared that it's gonna drive people away, when
right,
really it's to honor yourself and honor your needs. So,
right, right,
Mirza, how can we set boundaries in a
right,
relationship without sounding too pushy at the same time?
right. Well, it all boils down to when you say honor your needs. First, you got to know what your needs are,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
entails a lot of self work. You really got to do the work and figure out who you are, what you want in life, where you see your life going,
Mhm.
how will this relationship help or not, or like impair your goals. And I think when you have a sense of what you want out of life and the kind of life that you want to live, thinking of the boundaries will come naturally because you have somewhere to go, like you have your eye on the destination. And if uh, this person's actions or beliefs or attitudes are not compatible with yours, and you're not going in the same direction, then there's an issue there.
Hmm.
And I think you have to um, be very firm about what you want, because you
Yeah.
might set boundaries, and then if they break the if they like what's the word if you um
Like don't honor or
don't
uh
honor the boundary,
mhm.
and then there's no consequence,
Yeah.
then it's not really a boundary, it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you have to be firm and listen to their boundaries as well. Maybe they have boundaries.
Mhm.
Maybe you
Mhm.
can negotiate, see if it's there's a way to compromise. But do decide on your deal breakers, like
Yeah.
from the get go, like even before getting to a relationship. What are your deal breakers?
Yeah.
Cheating. What else? Lying,
Uh
stealing,
yeah.
or if they're not boundaries, I think they should be boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want a healthy
Or
relationship, for sure.
abuse, whether verbal or physical.
Mhm.
Like already make up your mind.
Gaslighting. Yeah.
Make up your mind. Like the minute, let's say, the minute he lays a hand on me, it's over. Decide that before you go into a relationship, because otherwise,
Yeah.
right? If you
It's
don't have
gonna
that
be as
boundary,
it's gonna be like a vicious cycle for you for sure.
right? But yeah,
Yeah.
the more you know yourself and what you want out of life and where you're going, what kind of life you want to live, the easier it will be, right? Like the easier it will be for you to say, but that's not me.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
not where I want to go, you
Yeah.
know. I don't think
It's
that's pushy. I think it should
yeah.
be part and package of who you are,
Mhm.
and something that they must accept and embrace. Like,
Yeah.
let's say you're career oriented and you have this goal of, let's say, reaching the top of the ladder.
Mhm.
Not to say that you will forsake everything at the expense of that goal, but knowing your partner, if your partner knows that this is important to her, then if he says, I want you to not go on that company thing this weekend, I forbid you to, then
Yeah.
they already know that, okay, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's a priority
Absolutely.
for her. Right?
Yeah, for
She's
sure.
who you chose, and this is what she does. This is what she wants to do. So you have
Mhm.
to understand that. Of course, there's compromising, there's give and take, but the core essence of who you are must be communicated clearly to each other. That no, that's not who I am. That's not who we are. And didn't we set the boundaries early on that this is a
Yeah.
non-negotiable?
It's circling back to it also, not just like, oh, they did it once, but then they didn't
Right,
honor it like the second time and you won't do anything about it. It
right,
has to be
right,
addressed for you
right.
to set that boundary firmly.
Right. I remember one of the editors telling me that I think she had a shoot on a Saturday, and
Mhm.
the boyfriend said, "Just don't go to your shoot. Just come with me to Tagaytay." She's
Oh
like,
boy.
"I'm the editor.
Yeah.
The shoot will fall apart." And I think the guy just thought that it was like a fun thing to do.
Oh, oh no.
So you got to
If
be
he only
clear.
knew. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, what about so we've figured out how to set boundaries in relationships early on and also reminding them that you have these. But also when it comes to family gatherings, Saman, this is very popular here
Oh,
in this cult in the Philippines,
right.
right? when you have your tita or tito getting too nosy about your personal life, your relationship
Right.
status, where you are in your job or something, how can we respectfully excuse ourselves from that conversation if you feel like it's being really what's this? It feels like it's invading your personal space and
Right.
you don't feel like talking about it.
Right. Well, as simple as that. Tita, I don't think I want to talk about that now. And then if she continues to push, kailan nga ako mag-aasawa? Baka wala ka
Oh.
pang anak. Don't be bullied. Just say, Tita, I don't, it's my own personal choice. It's really hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's really hard, but you just have to be firm. So I think I've gone through that. Like I got married at age 42 and I am childless by choice.
Mhm.
So you can just imagine
True, yeah.
all the comments that I've gotten from titas, parents, strangers accosting
Mhm.
me.
Oh my
But
gosh.
what really helped was that I knew early on that I knew that I wasn't gonna be pressured into marrying for the sake of it because of some timetable that somebody set.
Mm.
And I decided at age 20 that I didn't want to have children. And
Mm-mm.
so because I knew that and I was I had decided, I was very firm in my decision. Anything anyone ever said just made me laugh. It really didn't affect me.
Mhm.
Um, because it made no sense to convince the other party otherwise because they're not going to understand.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean about knowing who you are and where you want to go. Nothing can affect you. And I would just really laugh. And, I think the minute I got married, somebody said, "Oh, 42, pwede ka pa magkaanak. Kailangan niya nang mag-try. May time ka pa. Meron akong
Oh my
kilalang doktor." Blah,
gosh.
blah, 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 blah. And then I think I said lang to the person, "Napaka-personal naman ng question mo." "Oh, bakit? Reality naman yan."
Oh my gosh.
And then I just laughed it off because were we gonna debate about
Yeah.
having children when I really didn't want to? I don't think I could make her see my side. I don't think she could make me see her side. And so I
Yeah.
just laughed it off and excused myself.
Mm. Okay.
There.
How did you excuse yourself then in that situation? How can you like in that personal experience, and
Right.
I guess like generally if you
Yeah,
can't
I think
recall.
in the end I just said, ano ka ba? Personal decision na lang yon. Parang ikaw gusto
Mm.
mong may mga anak, ako, ayoko. So, dun lang. Okay.
Can leave it at that.
Right. Kasi I think once I defended it and then I said, I think I was around 35 and then someone said, but ayaw mo pang magkaanak. And then I think I said, I really don't want a lifestyle where I want to have a life where I can fly off anywhere at the drop of a hat
Yeah.
and, do anything whenever I want to and not have to think about um, having children or my responsibility. And of
Yeah.
course, the person who is a mother, parang, I don't know, maybe she got offended or envious. I don't know.
Either of the two.
So, the usual debate about like, sino mag-aalaga sa'yo pag matanda ka na?
Mm.
Caregiver. It's not gonna end there.
Yeah, no, that's
It's
true.
not
That's
gonna
true.
end. Right.
Yeah. And so now what is there a difference between a confident man and a confident woman, or are they about the same in your own experience or in your own career as a confidence coach? What does it mean to be a confident woman and a confident man in the modern world?
Wow, what a Miss Universe question.
Right?
I remember an article we did maybe 20 years ago about how come Pinoy men are all feeling guapo, but Pinay women
Ooh.
are all feeling pangit.
Oh, no.
Maybe that's like an unfair generalization, but it felt true at the time. What do you think up to now?
In terms of confidence, well, I mean, like I told you the story about like me not thinking that I was deserving to
Yeah.
date this guy who was
Yeah.
a model. So,
Right.
um, I don't know if that is how other people feel when
Right.
they date people who seem out of their league when really you're the one
Right.
who's out of their league. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think it's a hindsight kind of thing for
I
me.
think
Like, it's
I
like,
think in terms of being a man or a woman, because women societal conditioning for the worth of a woman is so maybe um over prioritized in terms of the looks department, that becomes like
mhm,
such a big basis.
yeah,
And so it undermines our confidence when we feel like we don't live up to the societal standard of what is beautiful. When for men, it's probably not, that's not what they're praised for, right?
yeah,
They're praised for their abilities, their talent, their
yeah,
intelligence, you know. For men, I don't believe that, groups of men go, parang guwapo mo. Diba? Parang for them yata, it's not an edge, but like, uh, parang it's not an asset. Whereas for women, it is. So maybe just knowing that kind of societal perception will
yeah,
help. And
yeah.
maybe if men are not really conditioned to value their look so much, they are able to concentrate on their abilities and their talents rather than
Mm,
place so much importance on the pursuit of such impossible standards. Whereas women, diba,
yeah,
what woman is not pressured to like um, have a certain body or have a certain
yeah,
face or look a certain way? I think in the ideal world of the future, if we stop evaluate, it's easier said than done. But
mhm,
if we value people in terms of their abilities and talents and kindness rather than physical standards,
mhm.
then it will be so much easier to be confident, whether you're a man or a woman.
Yeah, definitely. It's really, I guess it's just really, I think it's really on like abilities. Yes, it's nice to have good looks too, but then
Right.
if that's all you bring to the table, then I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
And it's
very,
fleeting.
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Um,
if you like, now that I'm of a certain age group, when I look back to my 20s, well, me and my friends, and then
mhm.
the men we thought were so hot then,
Oh boy.
when everybody ages,
Mhm,
then you realize, looks fades,
mhm.
abs disappear,
Yeah, yeah, that's
hair can
true.
vanish, but
Mhm.
character is forever, and that's what will, should be the basis of a good relationship in the long run, and not physical attributes or what wealth.
Yeah.
The wealth could disappear, but maybe the ability to earn money is more important than the wealth they possess.
Yeah. Definitely. I want to bring the topic into before we go about like, you mentioned about like how about looks, about physical appearance. So currently we are riding the wave of body positivity or even body
Yes.
neutrality. And as one of the pioneer models of the Philippines, what is your
Di
take
naman
on
pioneer.
one of like
Okay.
yon? So what is your take on this wave, and what advice can you give this time, not just to women who seem like or feel like they still don't fit a certain standard, but
Right.
for women who are also dealing with changes in their body as they age? Since I
Yes.
did just I turned 30 like a couple years ago, not couple last year. Like, I am in that stage of just
Right,
like, okay, gotta accept my body. It's the only one I got. So, like, what
right,
can you say
right.
about that?
What I can say is I'm very guilty of in decades past as a magazine editor, helping push a certain body ideal and
Okay.
certain standards of beauty. Although, in terms of racial diversity, I think I and my contemporaries were, we really started the wave of presenting and representing all kinds of complexions for Filipinas, that there is a gamut of
Yeah.
uh, kinds of faces and features and hair textures and complexions. But
Right.
in terms of the body ideal, when it came to the Cosmo cover alone, there was a certain body ideal,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was
Mm-hmm.
like um, a very slim and curvy girl with big hair,
Mm-hmm.
which was ideal at the time. Uh, because I thought that it was uh, an ideal that we could all strive for to be the best we could be. And
Mm,
did not really consider different kinds of body types
yeah.
or bone structure
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
genetic predisposition. And so now that I've seen things evolve and perceptions change, and uh, the courage with which the millennials and the Gen Zs have displayed to to push for inclusivity and to push for the acceptance of diversity. Uh, I feel I feel very fortunate to have witnessed this change
Mm,
and metamorphosis, and uh, I did write cover lines that read like, achieve a bikini body in 2 months. And then now
mhm.
I've learned that a bikini body is the body that you have when you
Yeah.
put on your bikini, whatever your size.
Mhm, mhm.
So back then it was all in the name of fitness, in the name of like being physically fit. But then maybe the images were detrimental and kind of exacerbated the diet culture impact
Mhm.
on the women of today. So I'm uh, I'm very grateful that you guys are so you know uh, adamant about you know uh, insisting and calling out any kind of biases. And so I think it's really changing the world. It's really changed the world, such that now you can have an ad campaign without checking all the boxes, right? You have to
Yeah.
represent everyone, not just like one kind of ideal. So that is why the Victoria's Secret fashion show kind of died
Yeah.
because of pushback from, other kinds of body types. And
Yeah.
so,
And that's why the Fenty one is doing so well.
yes, right. And Skims.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insight, your knowledge, your experiences that kind of paved the way for you to become a confidence and transformation coach. And so if people are interested in wanting to be coached by you, how can they contact you? How can they find you? And what would be your final pitch, elevator pitch, ganon? Like, in order to convince someone to be more confident in their life and transform their life into the life that they really want.
Right. Remember that confidence is a skill. We're not born with it. It is something that we can learn. And instead of putting yourself down for not being confident, just choose to be brave. Just choose to be brave and take a baby step, any kind of step that will move the needle closer to what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And, try and examine if you are spending too much time in your comfort zone, and know that on the other side of your comfort zone lies your biggest dreams and goals and ambitions.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Yay!
All
Oh
right.
my
Thank you so
gosh.
much.
Thank you so much, Mirza, for joining me this evening for Heard on Thursdays and teaching us a thing or two about how to be confident, how to be brave, how to transform our lives, and, just not be afraid of living it the way and showing up in our lives the way that we want to. So I hope you monsters who are listening or have been watching on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitch, I hope that you learned a thing or two about what it means to be confident and and transformation as well. For now, you can catch Mirza on her socials. It's at Myrza Sison on
Yeah, on all
Instagram,
platforms. Yeah.
on all platforms. And if
Right.
you DM her, if you want to know about her coaching,
Yes,
if you,
please.
she can set up a discovery call with you and see if you guys are a fit. And for now, though, we'll talk more next week. We will see who we have next week as well for our next guest. But once again, Mirza, thank you for imparting
Thank you,
all.
Nikki. Always a pleasure. Always fun.
Yes, yes. I super. Yeah, we have to catch up like off air a little bit.
Yeah. Keep keep doing those reels because I love them.
Oh, thank you. I do. I love doing them. I've grown to love doing them no matter how I look or how my face looks. So I guess it's something that we can all learn as content creators. Like, it's a face that we were born with. So, love it. Love it. Learn to love it. In any case, that is it for Heard on Thursdays. Thank you to all the monsters who have kept it locked in for however long you have. For now, let's keep it locked right here on the Monster. Bye bye.
Bye.